This video is about the single mom walked into the garden and a millionaire held the door for her. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts in comments. The scent of fresh rain clung to the air, mingling with the earthy undertones of rich soil and blooming flowers. Clara Roberts stood outside her modest home, a weathered smile touching her lips at the sight of her small garden. It was a patch of paradise, filled with vibrant colors and the rhythmic hum of bees busy at work. As a single mom, moments like these were rare treasures, and today she intended to savor them. "Mom, can we go to the park now?" A voice piped up from behind her, breaking her reverie. It was Mia, Clara's 8-year-old daughter, her little hands clutching a half-torn sketchbook adorned with crayon drawings of their garden. Clara turned, her heart softening at the sight of her daughter, a wild halo of curly hair framing her eager face. "Just a few more minutes, sweetie," she replied, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her fingers brushing against the dampness on her forehead. "I want to make sure the daisies don't need any water before we leave." "Okay," Miss squealed, darting back toward the windswing set that had seen better days. Clara watched her go, a bittersweet pang in her chest. She loved their simple life, but sometimes she felt the weight of loneliness hovering just out of reach, whispering doubts she tried to ignore. "Clara," the voice called out, pulling her from her thoughts. It was Mrs. Henderson, her next-door neighbor, waving cheerfully from her porch. "You've got to see the new garden at the community center." Clara waved back, her heart lightening at the thought. "I'll take me after the park," she called out, feeling a spark of excitement. Community gardens had always been a source of inspiration for her. There was something enchanting about growing beauty in shared spaces. Just as she turned back to the daisies, she heard the soft click of a door opening. Clara glanced over her shoulder, startled to see a tall figure stepping out from the grandiose mansion across the street. It felt foreign and surreal against the backdrop of their quaint neighborhood. He was striking, a tall man with tousled dark hair, dressed in a crisp white shirt and tailored trousers that hinted at wealth without being ostentatious. It was the kind of style that suggested a confidence that Clara both admired and envied. He caught her gaze and offered a smile that lit up the air between them, a genuine warmth that sent a curious flutter to her stomach. "Hello there," he said, his voice rich and inviting, as if he enjoyed the sound of it. "I am Ethan Sinclair. I just moved in." "Clara," she replied, her voice catching slightly. She felt exposed under his scrutiny, an odd flutter of nerves prickling her skin. "Welcome to the neighborhood." "I appreciate it," he replied, stepping down the stone pathway towards her. "I must say, your garden is stunning. It's hard to find such care and color in a community these days." "Thank you." Clara's cheeks warmed. "I've been working on it for a couple of years. It's my little escape." Ethan nodded, his eyes sparkling with interest. "Gardening? Or just the escape part?" "Both, I suppose," Clara chuckled lightly. "It is a way to connect with something beautiful, especially since—" She hesitated, feeling a pang of vulnerability. "Since life can be a bit chaotic." Ethan's expression softened, and for a moment, something unspoken lingered between them. "I know the feeling. I moved here for a fresh start," he admitted, glancing toward his mansion as if it held secrets he was reluctant to share. Before Clara could respond, Mia dashed over, her energy palpable. "Mom, can we go now?" She tugged at Clara's arm, her excitement infectious. "Of course, honey," Clara said, bending down to give her a quick hug. "Mia, this is Mr. Sinclair." "Hi." Mia chirped, her innocence drawing a grin from Ethan. "Nice to meet you, Mia," he said, kneeling to her level. "What is your favorite thing to do at the park?" "Swing and slides and the ice cream truck." Mia beamed, her enthusiasm spilling over. The mention of ice cream seemed to spark something in Ethan's eyes, a mix of amusement and nostalgia. "Sounds like you were going to have a fantastic day," he replied. "Enjoy." As Clara moved to pull Mia toward the gate, she felt a sudden heaviness in the air. Ethan was still watching them, as she couldn't shake the feeling that he was more than just a neighbor. There was a depth behind those dark eyes, perhaps even a hint of longing. But Clara quickly dismissed the thought. She had enough on her plate without entertaining fantasies about a millionaire from across the street. "Let us go, sweetie," Clara urged, leading Mia away. Yet, as they walked, she felt Ethan's gaze on her, and her heart betrayed her with an unwelcome flutter. "What is wrong, Mom?" Mia asked, glancing up curiously. "Nothing, just thinking," Clara replied, forcing a smile. As they headed toward the park, she tried to shake off the unexpected tension. She had her responsibilities, her daughter's laughter echoing in her ears as they approached the swings. But that evening, as Clara sat with Mia on the porch, the sun dipping below the horizon, her thoughts drifted back to Ethan Sinclair. She imagined the life he led, filled with luxury and opportunities, and wondered if he, too, felt the weight of solitude. "Mom, can we have a garden like Mr. Sinclair's?" Mia asked, breaking into her thoughts. Clara chuckled, a lilt of affection in her voice. "We could try, but our garden has its own special charm, doesn't it?" "Yeah," Mia agreed, her eyes sparkling. "But his house has so many rooms. Do you think he has a pool?" "Probably," Clara replied, unable to resist the urge to glance in the direction of Ethan's mansion. The house loomed in the twilight, majestic and imposing, and for a fleeting moment, she felt an echo of longing. "Do you think he is nice?" Mia asked, her innocence piercing through Clara's thoughts. "I don't know. I just met him." Clara hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her mind. But he seemed friendly. "Maybe we could invite him over for ice cream one day," Mia suggested, her excitement palpable. Clara laughed, the idea both amusing and terrifying. "We'll see, sweetie, one step at a time." As the evening air turned cool, Clara picked up the sketchbook Mia had abandoned, flipping it open to a page filled with colorful drawings of flowers. She marveled at her daughter's creativity, the way Mia captured the world with such wonder. Yet Clara felt a different kind of desire swelling within her, a longing for connection beyond the simple joys of motherhood. With that thought lingering, the door of Ethan's mansion opened again. This time, he stepped outside, glancing toward Clara and Mia. Their eyes met, and Clara felt a rush of heat flood her cheeks. She quickly looked away, busying herself with Mia's sketches, but the connection was undeniable. "Mom." Mia's voice broke through her thoughts again. "What if Mr. Sinclair isn't he just nice, but really, really nice?" Looking at her daughter, Clara realized that in the innocent heart of an 8-year-old, there was still so much hope. And for the first time in a long while, Clara found herself wondering what it would be like to let someone in if only for a moment. The following days rolled on like the soft waves of summer, each one blurring into the next for Clara. The memory of Ethan's warm smile lingered in her mind, resurfacing when she least expected it. It was a fleeting thought, like a whisper she wanted to hold onto but couldn't quite catch. Mornings were consumed with packing Mia's lunch, ensuring she had her favorite snacks, apple slices, peanut butter sandwiches, and a small treat tucked in for good measure. As Clara walked her daughter to the bus stop, the chatter of the neighborhood filled the air. The sound of laughter from nearby yards, the distant bark of dogs, and the rustle of leaves created a symphony of normalcy that Clara craved. "Mia, don't forget your drawing for art class," Clara reminded her, a slight twinge of anxiety at the thought of her daughter navigating school friendships alone. "I want tea." Mia beamed, her confidence radiating like sunshine. Clara watched her as she hopped onto the bus, waving furiously until the doors closed. As she turned back toward home, her heart ached with a familiar emptiness. The garden awaited her, a sanctuary, but sometimes even nature felt like it could not fill the void left by adult companionship. That afternoon, as Clara tended to her beloved daisies, a car pulled up across the street. She looked over to see Ethan stepping out, his silhouette framed by the sunlight, and her heart did an unexpected flip. He carried a box, his brow furrowed in concentration as he made his way toward his mansion. "Hey, Mr. Sinclair," Clara called out, surprised at her own eagerness. Ethan looked up, his face breaking into a wide grin as he shifted the box under one arm. "Clara, nice to see you again. How is the garden today?" "Growing strong, thank you," Clara replied, her pulse quickening. "What is in the box?" "Just some gardening supplies. I am trying to spruce up the yard a bit." He paused, glancing back at his mansion. "It is a bit overwhelming. I didn't realize how much I did miss having a garden until I moved here." "You're welcome to borrow tools if you need," Clara offered, realizing how genuine the thought was. "I have plenty to spare." "Really? That would be great," Ethan said, his eyes sparkling with genuine appreciation. "I could use some pointers too. I am a novice at best." "Oh, I can help with that." Clara laughed, the sound surprising her with its warmth. "What do you want to grow?" "I was thinking about starting with something simple, maybe some herbs. I love cooking, but I am not great at it," he admitted, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his tone. The admission made Clara's heart swell. "Herbs are a fantastic start. Fresh basil and rosemary can elevate any dish." She caught his gaze, and for a moment the air between them thickened with unspoken words. Clara felt the familiar flutter in her stomach, but quickly buried it beneath layers of rationality. She had her daughter to think about, and the last thing she needed was to entertain fantasies about a rich neighbor, no matter how charming he was. "Would you like to come over for dinner sometime?" Ethan asked, breaking the moment as if he sensed her retreating thoughts. "I could use some culinary advice." "Dinner?" Clara's breath caught. I'd love to help, but His brow furrowed slightly as he picked up on her hesitation. "I understand if you're busy. I just thought it might be nice to have a little help with the cooking and, well, some company too." "I am busy, but..." Clara paused, considering Mia's perspective. "I think it'd be okay, just a casual dinner." The weight of her responsibilities pressed down on her, clashing with the desire for connection she had buried for too long. "Absolutely, just casual," Ethan assured her, a glint of relief washing over his expression. "I'll text you." As he turned to head inside, Clara quickly called out, "Ethan." He paused, looking back at her, his curiosity evident. "Yes?" "Next weekend. What day works for you?" "Saturday, around 6, he suggested, his smile widening. "It has a date." Her cheeks heated at his words, and she quickly nodded. "Sure, see you then." As Clara moved back to her garden, she couldn't shake the rush of emotions swirling within her. A dinner with Ethan felt like an exhilarating leap into unknown territory. It was a chance to explore not only her culinary skills, but perhaps the budding connection she felt with this intriguing man. When the day finally arrived, Clara found herself in a flurry of activity. She had cleaned the house, though she knew it wouldn't be perfect. With Mia's art supplies scattered throughout, there was only so much she could do. The kitchen was filled with a fragrant aroma of roasted chicken, herbs, and lemon, and she was surprisingly excited about sharing her small world with Ethan. "Are you ready for Mr. Sinclair?" Mia asked, her eyes sparkling with mischief as she adjusted her little apron, a role the 8-year-old had taken on with utmost seriousness. "Yes, but let us keep the Mr. Sinclair part to a minimum, okay? Just Ethan is fine," Clara chuckled, amused by Mia's eagerness. "Okay, but after dinner, can we show him the garden?" Mia asked, bouncing on her toes. "Of course." Clara smiled, her heart warming at her daughter's excitement. "Just remember to be polite." At 6 o'clock sharp, Clara heard the soft knock at the door. Her heart raced as she opened it to find Ethan standing there, holding a bottle of wine, looking effortlessly charming in a casual navy shirt that accentuated his frame. "Good evening, Clara," he said with a warm smile. "I brought this to share." "Come in." Clara stepped aside, trying to quell the nervous butterflies in her stomach. "Mia is excited to meet you." "Hey, Ethan." Mia greeted, her energy filling the space. "Hello, Mia, it's great to see you again." Ethan crouched down to her level, his demeanor completely at ease. "What have you been up to?" "I've been drawing and working on my secret garden project," she declared proudly, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Secret garden project?" Ethan echoed, intrigued. "Mia's been planting flowers in her own little corner," Clara explained, watching the two bond effortlessly. "Now I have to see it. Flowers are amazing," Ethan said, genuinely enthusiastic. Dinner unfolded with laughter and the ease of shared stories, Clara's and nose dissipating with each shared moment. Ethan spoke about his life before moving in, his voice rich with the depth of experience. Clara found herself captivated, often catching glimpses of vulnerability beneath his confidence. As they moved to the back porch for dessert, the garden glowed softly in the twilight, the air thick with the scent of blooming flowers. "Your garden is stunning, Clara," Ethan said, looking out at the vibrant colors. "It is a piece of art." "Thank you," Clara replied, the compliment warming her heart. "It is my therapy." "I get that," Ethan admitted, leaning back in his chair, his gaze drifting to her. "I always thought I'd find peace in nature, but I forgot how vital it was to my happiness." "Moving can be chaotic," Clara said quietly, suddenly aware of the intensity in his gaze. "It is a big change." "Yeah," he replied, his voice softer now. "For someone like me, it has been more than just a new house, it is a new chance." In that moment, Clara felt the connection spark anew, a thread woven between their shared experiences. She hesitated, sensing they were teetering on the edge of something more profound. As Mia headed inside to grab her artwork for Ethan, a comfortable silence settled between them. Clara turned to Ethan, her heart racing. "Do you ever regret leaving your previous life?" Ethan hesitated, his brow furrowing slightly as he searched her eyes. "Sometimes, but it is not the life I miss, it is the people, the connections. I've learned that they matter more than anything." His sincerity tugged at her, stirring a longing she had kept buried for so long. She opened her mouth to respond, but the moment was interrupted by Mia's exuberant return, holding up her drawings proudly. "Here it is, Ethan, my garden project." As Mia began to explain her artwork, Clara watched the bond form between them, a gentle warmth curling around her heart. But even as she smiled, she couldn't shake the twinge of doubt that had been lurking at the edges of her thoughts. Was she ready to allow herself to feel more? To invite someone into her life, knowing her past was a tangled mess of responsibilities? The evening unfolded, filled with laughter and art. Yet as Clara caught Ethan's eye across the table, she felt the weight of her own heart as hesitance. Could she open up? Could she truly invite the warmth of connection in again, despite the fear that clung to her like a second skin? As they wrapped up the evening, Ethan stood at the door, his expression a blend of something deeper, something fragile that sparked in the air between them. "Thank you for dinner, Clara." As Ethan lingered at the door, Clara felt the weight of their shared moments settle heavily in the air. She caught a glimmer of something in his gaze, anticipation mingled with something deeper, perhaps hope. "I really enjoyed tonight," he said, his voice low and warm. "Me too," Clara replied, her heart racing as she leaned against the doorframe, trying to project calmness. "Mia had a great time showing you her drawings." "She is quite the artist," Ethan smiled, his eyes lighting up with genuine admiration. "She has a vivid imagination." Clara felt a wave of pride wash over her. "She gets that from her father," she said softly, the reminder of her past slipping into the conversation uninvited. "He always encouraged her creativity." "Must have been nice to have that support," Ethan said, his expression shifting slightly as he sensed the underlying tension. "I mean, not just for me, but for you too." Clara glanced away, the familiar pang of loss creeping into her heart. "It was," she murmured, her fingers unconsciously fidgeting with the edge of her blouse. "But life has a way of changing, doesn't it?" "It does," Ethan agreed, his voice rich with understanding. "Sometimes for the better, sometimes, well, not." He hesitated, searching her face as if trying to gauge how much she was willing to share. Mia emerged from the kitchen, a drawing clutched in her small hands, her excitement brightening the room. "Ethan, look, this is the secret garden. Do you like it?" Ethan knelt down to her level, his smile broadening. "Mia, this is incredible. You've recaptured the colors beautifully. It looks like a real paradise." "Thank you." Mia beamed, her cheeks flushing with pride. "You should come visit my secret garden." "And I definitely will," Ethan replied, his gaze flickering back to Clara momentarily, a knowing spark exchanged between them. "I'd love to learn more about your flowers, Mia." As Clara watched the two interact, she felt a bittersweet ache of longing. She wondered if Ethan could truly understand the complexities of her life, the chaotic mornings, the worry over bills, the lonely nights. Could anyone? "Mom, can we show Ethan the garden now?" Mia asked, her enthusiasm palpable. "Sure, if Ethan has time," Clara replied, a hint of hesitation in her voice. The garden was her sanctuary, and she wasn't sure she was ready to share it so intimately. "I'd love to see it," Ethan said, straightening up with that easy charm that made Clara's heart flutter. "Lead the way, Mia." Mia dashed outside, her laughter ringing in the air as she bounded toward the garden, and Clara felt the warmth of Ethan's presence at her side. "You have a wonderful daughter," he said quietly as they followed Mia. "She really is," Clara replied, her voice softening as she looked at him. "She has been my rock, through everything." Ethan nodded, his gaze fixed on the garden as they stepped into the vibrant tapestry of colors. "It is beautiful," he said, genuine awe evident in his tone. "I can see why you love it here." "Thank you," Clara said, her heart swelling with pride. "I wanted to create a little paradise for us, something to distract from, everything else." He glanced at her, a fleeting shadow crossing his face. "I understand, sometimes we need a refuge from reality." Mia was already explaining her ideas on planting new flowers, her voice bubbling with excitement as she pointed out various blooms. Clara watched Ethan listen intently, genuinely interested, and a warmth spread through her chest. It felt nice to share this part of her life. As they strolled through the flowers, Clara felt the tension between her and Ethan shift. It was more than just a friendly visit. There was an undeniable chemistry that sparked between them, an electric pull that made her heart race. "Do you have a favorite flower?" Ethan asked, breaking her train of thought. "I love daisies," Clara replied, smiling at the blooms swaying gently in the breeze. "They're simple yet bright. They remind me of happiness." "The daisies fit you perfectly, then," he said, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her breath hitch. "They're cheerful and vibrant, just like you." Clara felt warmth bloom across her cheeks, the compliment stirring something deep within her. "Thank you," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mia, what about you?" Ethan turned to her, breaking the tension. What is your favorite flower? Sunflowers. Mia declared, her face lighting up. They're so tall and bright. They always make me happy. Sunflowers remind me of summer, Ethan mused, glancing back at Clara, his expression thoughtful. They always seem to turn toward the sun, don't they? Exactly. Mia exclaimed, her excitement infectious. Just like how we should always look for the good stuff. Wise words from a wise girl, Ethan said, ruffling Mia's hair affectionately. Clara watched them, her heart swelling with warmth, but her inner doubts lingered. Could she really let someone into their lives, especially someone like Ethan? Mom, Mia said suddenly, her voice cutting through Clara's thoughts. Can we plant sunflowers in our garden? Maybe next spring, sweetie, Clara replied, forcing a smile. We'll make a spot just for them. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the garden, Clara felt a sense of peace wrap around her. Yet, even as laughter filled the air, the underlying tension didn't dissipate. Ethan seemed to sense it too, his gaze drifting back to Clara, searching her expression for something unspoken. Mia, why don't you show Ethan your favorite spot in the garden? Clara suggested, hoping the moment would ease their growing intimacy. She needed a moment to breathe, to think. Okay. Mia chirruped, tugging at Ethan's hand as she led him away. Clara watched them, her heart heavy with confusion. What was she so afraid of? She had already taken a leap by inviting him over. And yet the thought of opening her heart to someone new sent a chill of panic coursing through her. As she absent-mindedly tended to the flowers, she caught snippets of laughter from Mia and Ethan, a warmth blossoming in her chest. It was a sound she hadn't realized she craved so deeply. But with each giggle, the shadow of her past loomed over her, reminding her of the complexities of relationships. What if it didn't work out? What if she hurt me again, just as she had been hurt? Clara? Ethan's voice broke through her racing thoughts. She turned, finding him standing a few feet away, his expression serious yet soft. Are you okay? Yeah, Justa. Clara hesitated, her gaze dropping to the flowers. Just thinking. About what? He stepped closer, his interest genuine, yet Clara felt the heat of vulnerability rise in her cheeks. Life, I guess, she replied, forcing a smile. About how complicated it can be. Complicated is a good word for it, he agreed, taking a step closer. But sometimes, sharing those complexities can lighten the load a little. Clara met his gaze, and for a moment the world around them faded away. The warmth of the garden, the laughter of Mia, all blurred into the background. I am not sure I am ready to share, she admitted, her voice trembling with honesty. Ethan nodded slowly, his expression contemplative. That is okay, take your time, but know that I am here if you ever want to talk. Just then, Mia bounded up to them, her hand outstretched, a bouquet of freshly picked daisies in her grasp. Look, Mom, I picked these for you. Clara felt her heart swell, overwhelmed by the innocence of her daughter's gesture. They were beautiful, sweetheart. She bent down to embrace Mia tightly, breathing in the sweet scent of the daisies. Ethan watched them, a soft smile on his face, and Clara caught the glimmer of admiration in his eyes. In that fleeting moment, Clara felt a flicker of hope ignite within her, a possibility that maybe, just maybe, she could dare to let him in. As the evening air turned cool, they reluctantly made their way back inside, laughter echoing through the halls of their home, a bittersweet sweetness lingering. Clara's heart danced between the fear of the past and the hope of something new. The door clicked shut behind Ethan, but as Clara stood in the kitchen, she couldn't help but wonder what the future held. Could she embrace this connection? Could she allow herself to feel vulnerable again? As she tucked Mia into bed that night, she felt the weight of the day settle around her like a protective blanket. Mom, do you think Ethan will come back? Mia murmured, her eyes heavy with sleep. I hope so, sweetie, Clara whispered, her heart fluttering at the thought. I think he enjoyed his time with us. Good, he should come over again, Mia said sleepily, her little fingers curling around Clara's hand. He is nice. Yeah, he is, Clara replied, her heart swelling. The days that followed Ethan's visit seemed to drift lazily into soft evenings filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the sound of Mia's laughter. Clara found herself replaying their moments together, the warmth of his gaze lingering in her thoughts like sunlight filtering through leaves. Every morning, she awoke with a flutter of anticipation. The world felt different, painted in brighter colors, yet beneath the surface lingered a thread of uncertainty. What did it mean to open herself up to an emotional connection again, especially with someone like Ethan? The following weekend, Clara busied herself in the kitchen, preparing a simple dinner of pasta and fresh salad. She wanted to impress Ethan without overdoing it. The late afternoon sun poured in through the window, casting a golden hue on the countertops, and Mia was diligently coloring at the kitchen table, her crayons a chaotic rainbow. "Mom, are we having dessert?" she asked, looking up with wide, hopeful eyes. Clara chuckled. "Yes, sweetie, I thought we could make brownies together after dinner." "Yay, I love brownies so," Mia exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. Clara smiled, her heart swelling with affection. "I know you do. We'll make them extra special, just like last time." As they worked together, Mia's chatter filled the air. She excitedly recounted all the things she wanted to show Ethan, her innocent excitement a balm to Clara's lingering worries. But as the clock ticked closer to 6, Clara's nerves began to flare. What if she said something wrong? What if Ethan realized she wasn't worth his time? "Mom, you look funny," Mia said, tilting her head, a crayon paused mid-stroke. "Funny?" Clara echoed, trying to muster a smile. "How do I look funny?" "Like you were nervous. Are you nervous about Ethan?" Mia asked, her brow furrowing in concern. Clara paused, her heart racing. "Maybe a little. It is just he is nice, and I want him to have a good time." "Don't worry, he probably thinks you're super cool anyway," Mia reassured, her innocent wisdom surprising Clara. Just as she was about to respond, a light knock rattled the front door. Clara's stomach tied itself in knots, and she glanced at the clock right on dime. "Mia, can you help me get the door?" "Sure." Mia hopped off her chair, dashing to open it. As Clara approached, she took a deep breath, smoothing down her shirt. When she opened the door, there stood Ethan, his head tousled by the breeze, a smile that felt like home on his face. "Evening, Clara. Good to see you again." "Hi, Ethan." Clara greeted, her heart racing. "Come on in. Dinner is almost ready." As Ethan stepped inside, Clara was acutely aware of his presence, the way he filled the space with an air of warmth and charm. He held a small bouquet of sunflowers in his hand, their cheerful petals vibrant against the backdrop of her cozy home. "For you, Mia," he said, kneeling to her level as he presented the flowers. "I thought you could use some brightening up today." "Wah, thank you, Ethan." Mia's face lit up as she accepted the flowers, her little hands cradling them like treasures. "They were my favorite." Clara watched the interaction unfold, a smile playing on her lips. "You really know how to make an impression," she teased lightly. Ethan shrugged, his grin widening. "What can I say? I aim to please." He turned serious for a moment. "I wanted to thank you for inviting me. It means a lot." "It is our pleasure," Clara replied, her heart fluttering. "The dinner is nearly ready. Would you like to help me set the table?" "Absolutely," Ethan said, moving to the kitchen as May placed her sunflowers in a jar. They worked side by side, Clara acutely aware of the way their shoulders brushed occasionally, that electric spark flaring in those simple touches. She tried to focus on the task at hand, but Ethan's presence kept pulling her thoughts into a whirlpool of possibilities. "So, aside from making beautiful bouquets, what else do you enjoy doing?" Clara asked, trying to keep the conversation light. "I like to cook," he replied, his voice warm as he picked up a dinner plate. "Not that I am particularly good at it. It is a lot like gardening, I suppose. You learn as you go." "I do say you were off to a great start," Clara encouraged, her heart racing as she caught his gaze. "What inspired you to take up cooking?" "My mother," he said, his expression softening. "She was a phenomenal cook. I spent many evenings in the kitchen with her, and those are some of my fondest memories." Clara felt a pang of nostalgia mixed with longing. Family gatherings are the best. Cooking together creates such strong bonds. "Exactly," Ethan said, looking deeply into her eyes. "Those moments are what I miss the most, the laughter, the connection." Clara's heart fluttered at his admission, the depth of his words resonating within her. Just then, Mia interrupted, bounding into the kitchen with her bouquet. "Can I put these on the table, Mom?" "Yes, sweetie, right in the center," Clara replied, smiling at her daughter's enthusiasm. As they finished setting the table, Clara felt the evening's atmosphere shift. There was a comforting ease to their interactions, a gentle rhythm that felt almost familial. Mia asked Ethan questions about his garden plans, and he answered her with sincerity, making her giggle. Dinner unfolded with a delightful ease. They shared stories over pasta, the sounds of laughter and clinking silverware filling the small dining space. Ethan was attentive, his laughs genuine as he engaged with Mia, and Clara felt the warmth of connection blossoming around them. "Do you always cook together with your daughter?" he asked Clara, curiosity dancing in his eyes. "Not always," Clara replied thoughtfully. "I try to involve Mia when I can. It is our special time, but usually it's just the two of us." I get it. I think it is great that you're remaking those memories together, he said, sincerity evident in his tone. It is important. They shared a moment of silence, the air thick with understanding. Clara felt a longing swell within her, a desire to let him in, to share her hopes and fears. But as she looked into his eyes, she was reminded of the weight of her past, the fear of failure creeping in again. Ethan, Clara began, but just then Mia's voice broke through her thoughts. Mom, can we make brownies now? She piped up, her face a picture of childlike glee. Sure, let us do it, Clara said, grateful for the distraction. As they moved to the kitchen, Clara felt a rush of warmth as Ethan joined them, sliding beside her. I'd love to help with the brownies, he said, an inviting smile on his face. Mia bounced up and down, excitement spilling over. We can have the best time ever. As they mixed the ingredients, Clara felt Ethan's shoulder brush against his again, and heat pulled in the pit of her stomach. Despite the chaos of flour and sugar, there was something undeniably intoxicating about sharing this moment with him. Can I crack an egg? Mia asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. Of course, Clara said, handing her an egg. But be careful. With a determined nod, Mia cracked it with all her might, bits of shell flying into the bowl. Clara and Ethan exchanged amused glances. It looks like we've got a little chef in the making, Ethan teased, ruffling Mia's hair again. Tay. Mia laughed, her eyes sparkling with mischief. I am doing my best. You are, and I can tell these brownies are going to be amazing, Clara said, feeling lighter with every shared laugh. As they poured the batter into the pan, the kitchen filled with the sweet scent of chocolate. Clara couldn't shake the feeling of Ethan standing close, his warmth radiating against her side, making her heart race. Do you want to set a timer? Ethan suggested, his voice serious as he picked up his phone. Sure, Clara responded, grateful for the focus. 10 minutes should do it. As the timer ticked down, they moved to the living room to let the brownies bake. Clara felt a rush of nervous energy as they settled onto the couch. Mia snuggled between them with her drawing materials, flipping through her sketches. What is this one? Ethan asked, picking up a drawing of a whimsical tree, vibrant with colors. That is the tree in our secret garden. It is magical, Mia exclaimed, her voice brimming with pride. Magical trees are the best, Ethan said, his eyes sparkling as he engaged with her. I'd love to see it someday. Really? Mia's eyes widened in delight. I can show you all the flowers and the butterflies. And I'll come prepared with my camera, Ethan said with a grin. We need to capture the magic. Clara watched them, her heart swelling with warmth. In that moment, she realized how much she longed for Mia to have someone like Ethan in her life. It felt good to see her daughter so happy, yet Clara couldn't help but